Hello, everyone. I am Coach Kiana,
And I am therapist Danielle.
and we are the Real on Parenting. All right, Danielle. So today we're going to kick it off with talking about parenting teenagers. Now, as we
Yeah,
have this disclaimer, my advice
right.
is legal ish, it's parenting ish.
Parenting ish. My
Danielle
advice
is
done
for
correctly. Right. You're not going to end up in jail. And if you did, you didn't do what I said to do. So you choose which one fits the shoe for you. Right. Don't be like Danielle. No, Danielle did not say that. Mm-mm. That
yeah,
was your interpretation of
Coach
what I said.
Kiana might have said it.
Right.
But
Right.
Danielle actually has licenses behind her name, so don't blame her.
Yes. Yes. Right. Right. Right.
So here's the thing, because I work with hundreds of teenagers every year. I work with hundreds of parents every year. And one thing I'm finding is that our teenagers really want a lot of independence while being totally dependent and not understanding interdependence, right? And so we got to talk about, like,
Right.
how does a parent effectively maneuver that?
Yes, yes, yes. Like the term going around now is that my broke best friend. And be honest, some of your children would not identify you as a best friend, and there's no shame in that whatsoever. I grew up in the era that I am your parent and not your friend. So if you grew up in that era, then you understand. But with parenting
Absolutely.
teens in this day and age, is trickier. It's always
Mhm.
been tricky, but with the pandemic, with the social medias, with the access that
Exposure. Yeah.
you right that your kids have, the different exposures to them, there's so many aspects that parents don't have control over
Mhm.
now. And that also needs to keep into consideration now. So there is a fine line in regards to letting your child say how they feel. The way that I grew up, if you say what you felt after picking yourself up off the floor, they'll ask you again, what did you say? And it would
Just to
behoove you
knock you
to
out
don't
again.
say nothing. Right. There you go. But as you grow up and as you become an adult and have certain life experiences, you kind of find yourself in certain situations where you may be conflicted on, do I say something? Do I not say something? As
Absolutely.
with another authority per se, when they have a job or if they're told to do something by their authoritarian, whomever that is in that position, but it's not right. Do I say something? And if I do say something, in what way do I say it that's actually respectful? So how,
Right.
as a parent, having that understanding that your child saying how they feel is not disrespectful. Your
Right.
child asking a question is not disrespectful.
And taking the time to explain to your child what it is. Like I always tell Kayla, in the moment, do what you're told, right? You can always come back to me and ask, Mommy, why did I have to do this? Or I didn't like that. But in the moment, it's disrespectful and defiant, and that I won't tolerate. But do what you're told, come back to me. And there have been many of things that I've said, okay, you're right, or I understand that, and I understand how it makes you feel, so let's figure out how we're going to change it. Right now, some things I have left the same because I am the parent, right? And
Because
so
you're the mama.
sometimes, right, it's like, thank you for your opinion, great, I'm glad you feel safe sharing your thoughts, right? Because I didn't growing up.
Right, right, right.
And at this point, it has to stay the same because it's for your well-being. That's different than not giving our kids a voice at all. And a
Yes,
lot of people,
yes,
particularly elders, are like, who's the parent? Well, she's still a person.
right,
She's still a person. She should
right,
have her views. They should be seen, they should be
right,
recognized, right? Absolutely. I'm sorry,
right.
go ahead.
No, no, you're fine. No, and I totally agree. I mean, granted, there's a fine line between when and where and how, my daughter, the tone, I call it the tone and the tune, then crept up at about 8.5. And this is going real strong. And her face. So the face, the tone, and the tune, the trio gonna get her knocked down. However, we're working on it. So there's that part of trying to make sure you are not putting out the fire in your child, their personality, their temperament. That what makes them them. And what more so helping them learn how to navigate, how to filter that. So that goes to the next thing. There's some parents that don't even know how to filter themselves. So how are they going to do that and maneuver that for their child?
Absolutely. Because teaching them how to navigate it, teach them how to use their voice is very different from stifling their voice.
Yes. Correct. And then and I will say, I always call it those hard truths. As a parent, first of all, parenting is not for the weak. It ain't. You got to be a G about yours, okay?
And we do mean gangster. That's what the G stand for, in case anybody is under any misunderstanding.
Right. And with that, though, your child knows your buttons. They know the topics. They know all the things to take you there, okay?
Just like a spouse
and by teenagehood, you're going to have moments where I call it colors. You seeing colors and you didn't realize what you said and what you did. Granted, I'm not saying what you said and what you did. You get what I'm saying. Keep your hands to yourself, but there's a time and place for everything. But I'm not saying to put your hands on your child whatsoever, but you do have to keep in mind your stuff. You are a person. You have to keep in mind you. And so are you reacting to something that's a you thing?
Right.
Or are you responding to something on how you're going to address your child in that specific behavior so they understand because you explained it, not because they know. They know. Well, did you tell them? Did you sit down and have that conversation with them so that they understood the information as to why you're saying what you're saying, or or to do or not do? Because if that didn't happen, then they know that you are assuming that they know.
Absolutely.
And that's not fair.
Absolutely. And that's happened to us a lot, right? We can think back in our adult years where they said, well, you should have known, or you did know, right? Or the infamous, I know you, right? It's like, but I didn't. I know you did. And it's like, but I didn't, you know what I mean? And I think that sometimes we parent out of our own experiences as children, right? And we go off of what won. And that's not necessarily the most effective. Your parents always won because they had the ability to bring out the belt. They had the ability to hit.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And I remember growing up, my aunt, rest her soul, my aunt Tamara, we called her Cha-Cha, she would say, don't be a bully. When I was pregnant with Kayla, she would say, don't be a bully to your kid. And when I was like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? And she was like, bullies hit people that can't hit back. When you're a parent and you're hitting your child, you know they can't hit back. You're bullying them. You're standing over them. You're the bigger person. That is a bully move. And it took me a minute, but I realized like she's absolutely right. And as Kayla has done things where I'm like, hey, and I got to be more assertive and aggressive, I always have to go back to don't be the bully though, right? Because we can have this conversation, but when they get to teenage years, they have experienced bullying, they have been a bully, and now they have a parent that they're just as tall as, that they, you know what I mean? Like sometimes they let the smooth taste fool them, right? And they like, I'm tall just like you.
Testing your gangster. The OG, not the YG, but anyways, but yes. But no, that's very true. And I'll say this as well. By no means I'm not saying to spank your child. What I'm saying is that every child, they're different in their own individuality. Okay.
Absolutely.
So have I been spanked? Yes. Have I spanked my child when she was younger? Yes. Did I adjust and modify based upon that way of disciplining her? I had to. Yes. So what my child was showing, who thinks she's grown now, she's not there yet because she the broke best friend, remember? But what I had to watch and listen to is that was this way of parenting, disciplining my child, actually getting the response and the results that I was disciplining her for, the way I was disciplining her.
Right.
And what I saw for her was that she required communication.
Mm-hmm.
If I talked to my child, she would be in tears as if I whooped her something thoroughly and I ain't even touched her.
Right.
Me, on the other hand, I had to get several whoopings. And by the fourth one, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do what you say now. But that was me.
Can't
She's a totally
believe you
different
tested your
breed.
mama like that.
If anybody knew my mama, you could be like, for real, yeah, that was
I do
me.
know your mama, and I still listen to her. Okay, you're like, what are you doing? You're just
And I still
suicidal.
push her buttons, but you have to be honest with what is my child responding to and in which way.
Mm-hmm.
When your child says, Mom, I popped myself, hold on. What you mean you popped yourself? That's my child when she was 3. Because I did something I was supposed to, and I remembered that I wasn't supposed to do it, so I went ahead and popped myself. So then I
That
had
would
to
have
have a
broke my
conversation
heart.
with her. Right. And it was like, whoo, whoa, stepping on all the toes. And I said,
Right.
okay, hun, thank you for being honest and letting me know that you did something that you weren't supposed to do and mommy didn't see, but you caught yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You noticed, oh, I did this thing that I wasn't supposed to do. So from there, I noticed for me, okay, my child is going to require more communication versus the pop pop.
Right.
You know, that quick hand, because I got a quick hand, real quick. But
You
just
got it from your mama. Okay.
I did, and we got that long reach too. But it's real quick. You think you gone and you halfway down the street, the hand is still behind you. So, but there's that thing is being honest with how is my child responding to me? How is my child responding to this way of parenting, this parenting style? Just because you were parented this way doesn't mean that default means that you need to parent the same way that you were parented. Because you are not your child.
Absolutely.
They came from you, but you are not your child and your child is not you.
But I think we also, as parents, have to understand there is a difference between discipline and punishment. Discipline teaches the lesson. It gives them the conversation. It helps them to understand where they went wrong and like how to course correct. So often when we got whoopings, we were just like, what the heck did we do? Like, what you
Oh,
hit
my
me
mama is
for?
different. Yeah, no, I know what I did, but okay. But I was like, my mama is a different breed, but I get what you're saying. So I
Okay,
understand.
well, Miss Pam was very quick, right? Like we were just like, wait a minute. But I found myself fussing, right? Like my mom did, like my aunts did, like my grandmothers did, right?
Yeah.
Even how my uncles and grandparents,
Yeah.
like my dad, you know what I mean? Like we got it from all angles. Like it didn't matter, right? But the thing
Right.
is that the punishment is the pain that immediate reaction that we
That's
have,
true.
right? That's not
Yeah.
necessarily a parenting technique. And I think that a lot of times we go, particularly as African Americans, we got whooped and we are right. I had a guy say that to me
Right.
recently, and I had to go on.
Yes.
I was like, thank you for letting me know up front who you are. Ain't no way we gonna continue dating, but
Right.
not
Right.
bringing
Right.
your mess into
Yes.
my house,
Yes. Yes.
right?
The red
But
flag. Right. Good
it
job.
wasn't
Right.
that it wasn't that we got whooped and we're okay. A lot of us are not okay from the whoopings that we got. We tend to
I
go,
was just
I'm gonna
about
keep
to say
whooping.
that
That's what happened to me. But
to
it was a
me.
whole lot that happened to you. If we just being honest, it's a whole lot
Right.
that happened to
Right.
you. And we have to fix that. We don't have to parent that way just because it's tradition. Because if we're
Right.
honest, we got that from slavery. We were not whooping our kids prior
Yes.
to slavery.
Right.
So you want to do the
Right.
same
Right.
thing
Right.
that slave masters
Mhm.
did to us. And
Did
I'm gonna
to
go
your
ahead and
children.
I know that, we have a mixed audience. I'm gonna just say this. As African Americans, we are quick to say white folks need to whoop their kids. They would never.
We
Now
are.
there are some who do. Let me
Yeah.
be clear. But on
Right.
average,
There
they
are
would
some, but
never
right.
treat their children the way they treated the slaves. And here we go treating our
Right.
children the way slave masters treated us. And then we get mad when they revolt the way the slaves revolted. That is insanity
Yes.
to me. We have to figure
Yes.
out a
Yes.
better way. Our children do not need to be hit. And we're talking about young kids a lot. As they grow into teenagehood, we
Right.
understand that we have to adjust a little bit more, right?
Right.
There is
Right.
a
Right.
level
Well,
of
should.
parenting.
I won't say we should.
We should adjust. There has to be stronger conversations, but there also has to be stronger consequences. That does not mean
Right.
hitting. That does not mean, you understand what I'm
Right.
saying? Consequences
Yes.
of, hey, you know what? Like, figure out your own prom. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't do what you're told, if you can't get the grades, if you can't, follow suit in the house and do the chores that you're told to do, then you
Right.
know what?
Right.
Mommy's going to take away the
Yes.
the
Yes.
I forget what I say, what the reward. Thank you. Look, see, took
Okay.
me a minute
I'm
because
like,
mommy
girl, I
brain is
don't
real.
know.
But freedom um without responsibility breeds entitlement, right? And so when we give our kids rewards, they're getting all this freedom and they get to do, but then they don't have the responsibility of keeping their grades
Ability to
up.
go along
The
with
res-
it. Right.
Absolutely, the responsibility of keeping, like washing dishes, washing the clothes. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kind of
Yes.
things that
Yes.
we have to be mindful of, and we can't just
Right.
give. A lot of times we give because we're like, oh well, I didn't have, or oh well, their dad left, or oh well,
Right.
I work a lot. So what? They still
Yeah.
need the structure
Right.
so that they don't
Right.
become entitled.
Right. Right.
Because
And
I swing on entitled. Oh, sorry, I'm just
and
saying.
I just look. Actually, I don't look. I side eye, so I don't see the full view.
And
But
you side
anyways,
eyeing with a
but
smile right now. I would just let y'all know that is not how she side eyes. Listen, I stopped one time till I realized she wasn't talking to me. I was like, oh, a minute. Okay.
but but you hit up some good things. One, when you talk about the slavery, a lot of people are not aware of that. You
Mhm.
know, of the quote unquote tradition of I was looked and I turned out fine, or it worked for me, or I needed it. And you may have needed it, but at the same time, not necessarily to that degree. So just being
Absolutely.
aware that that did not come from us being African American. That's not something that was coined, developed, none of that
Right.
whatsoever. And then you Googled your best friend, and actually probably done took the stuff down. That's, I ain't trying to get censored, but don't understand you can do your research if you really want to know where certain things came from. It wasn't
Yes.
from us. We didn't miraculously make this up and say beat our children. No, we were beat.
Right.
But anyways, that's a history lesson. You can Google that. But the other part is that you spoke on in regards to freedom without responsibility.
Breeding
That's a
entitlement.
big, big thing.
Yeah.
Jordans, girl, I don't even know what they have now these days. I'm learning that, I'm officially getting to that age when you don't
Right.
know what is what. However, but when you're getting electronics, cell phones, tablets, iPhone, when you're whatever your kid is asking, and you may grumble or whatever the case may be, but in the end they still get it.
Mhm.
How are their grades? How is their room? What is their daily, weekly, monthly chores
Right.
that are consistently done? How is their behavior overall? That is what or should be determining when they get, I call it the extras and the perks.
Right.
My daughter, no, you got this roof, you got this bed, you have your clothes, you have the bathroom, you can shower. All the other stuff, including the dog, is a perk.
Including
It
the
is
dog.
not something, including the dog, okay? Because that's another dollar bill. But anyway, including the dog is a perk, and it's not a necessity. Is it nice to have? Sure, but is it a necessity? No.
No.
So you need to come with it. If you're trying to keep these things and still ask for some more stuff, you need to come with it, sis.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of parents don't do that. And then when she doesn't display the behaviors as appropriate for expected of her because it's explained to her, yes, things are taken away. Does it hurt at times? Yes, it does. But
Yes.
as a
Because
parent, we
sometimes
have to
when
keep in
when we put
mind,
our kids on punishment, we on punishment too, because
we
they don't
owe
have nobody
punishment
else
too.
to
That's
talk
exactly
to.
what my husband say. We owe and I don't mind because I don't mind being up in the house. I mean, I got to interact with people. But anyways, but what you also have to keep in mind is that when you are disciplining your child, you
Mhm.
have the sense of feeling okay with that because you're doing it.
Right.
If there is no discipline in its own right, depending on the behavior and the action within the home from day one to end one, society gonna do it. And
Right.
society don't care. So these, even though they're on levels of being uncomfortable, if you are that parent who's trying to be their friend, just to let you know, this ain't the time to be their friend, okay?
It's
It
not.
is not,
It
because
is the
outside,
time to be friendly, right? And
sure, there's
establish
a difference.
connection because they are growing out, but you can't just go into friendship. Like there has to be an authoritative balance, and there also has to be a progression into friendship. Because once they're 25, like, yeah, you absolutely want to be their friend, right? When they're
Sure.
in their 20s and they're experiencing life, you absolutely want to be the person that they talk to about it all. That's different. And I understand that you can't just stop it here and then pick it up here. There has to be a progression, but in that progression, there still has to be parenting. It just has to be.
Yes, the parenting has to happen. In the end, the parent, the not so fun parts of parenting has to happen. And they have
Absolutely.
to happen accordingly, not at your convenience. No,
And
not
parenting goes into adulthood. Like, let's just be
it does.
honest. It does not stop
It
when they
does.
turn 18. It actually, from, a lot of people tell me, oh, just wait. You're going to be parenting even more once she turns
Right,
18.
right,
And when I think of my
right,
20-year-old, she's biologically my niece, but when I think of my 20-year-old, I'm like, you're right. Like, because now you have a whole different set of worries. You have the worries of them having the
ooh,
freedoms, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
understanding that they are 18 and don't have to check in, and they have this legal
right,
responsibility or legal
right,
freedoms, I should say. And
right,
it becomes harder to be that influence for them. It becomes harder to tell them things because they really feel like they know it all now. So now, not
right.
only do they not have to
They know,
listen,
no,
not only are they not in your house, they really
right,
think they know it all and they can tackle the world. That's a whole nother set of parenting skills that, I'm gonna
right,
be honest, you gotta be you gotta be prepared. Like there has to be classes. You the same way you take driver's training, the same way you get training for your job, there is a parenting training that has to happen. And we tend to go, oh no, I got it. I'm gonna get training for this job, right? Where I gotta learn how to work a fax machine. Or look, that's how old I am. Did I just say fax machine?
right. I
Where
know
I,
it, fact that you so silly.
I gotta learn how to work an iPad. We'll edit that out later.
Right, right,
But then
right.
when it comes to driving, we'll go, okay, we'll get this training. But when it comes to parenting, we like, I got this other person's life. No way I'm gonna screw them up.
Right, right, right. And being open and honest to the fact that you don't know it all. And I don't even care if you already have previous kids.
Right.
You don't know it all because you haven't parented this kid before.
Even if you have 6 or
Um,
7 of them, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you, Danielle, some of the worst advice I've ever gotten as a parent has come from people with multiple kids, especially adult kids. And I'm just like,
mm,
from, give her some water. And Kayla's doctor was like, you don't give the baby water. Like, and then I,
so when
I saw a article not long after that moment where two parents were arrested because they didn't have breast milk and they didn't have money for formula. And so they gave their baby water and it caused the baby to get sick and the baby passed. And they were arrested for
mm,
murder. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, had I not listened to the doctor, because
right,
the elders
right,
have spoken, and
spoken, right. You gonna find yourself
things
with a what
change.
did yeah, yeah. So I mean, obviously there's the conversation in regards to addressing teenage parenting can go on and it kind of has a
Mhm.
layering effect. It's not just this circle, teenage, middle school, adolescent, elementary, toddler, infant. It
Absolutely.
overlaps and it really starts from day one. So these will be ongoing conversations and topics that we will be having because just of the
Absolutely.
nature of the teenagers, they be coming with the shenanigans as well as the adolescents, as well as the elementary kids. They had to have a whole different level of shenanigans coming up. But the communication, the level of respect, and
Mhm.
as a parent, just keep in mind and well, just know, I won't say keep in mind that because you're just a parent does not default mean that your child respects you. Are
Absolutely.
you showing that you respect your child? It goes hand in hand.
That part right there. Absolutely. So thank you all for joining us on The Real on Parenting, listening to these two girls from Compton, right?
Right.
All excited.
Talking a
And
thing or
if you're
two.
watching the video, we did not color coordinate and we did not off the shoulder
We did
coordinate. This just
it.
happened.
Right.
Okay.
I was looking at that like she got my memo. No, I never sent it. So all right.
All right. We will talk to you guys on the next episode.